People never dared to go near Ethan's house. Everyone said that the house harbored dark secrets, and that the whispers emanating from it were echoes of an ancient curse summoning lost souls. The town elders claimed that the faint light seen through the windows at night was the final struggle of trapped spirits. Many wondered why Ethan lived alone in that forsaken house, but no one knew the truth. No one could guess that Ethan was hiding the darkness within him, a second self that was slowly taking control. Ethan lived alone in a decrepit, abandoned house on the outskirts of a small town. The townspeople feared that house, shutting their windows tight at night to block out the strange sounds that echoed from within. Ethan was once a normal person, but a long time ago, his dark inner self had taken over. This other self called itself Luthor. It was a dark voice in Ethan's mind, whispering, giving orders, crushing and molding his will bit by bit. Luthor surfaced in Ethan's weakest moments, using his fears and vulnerabilities to his advantage. Ethan's greatest fear was losing control completely and becoming Luthor's slave forever. One night, Ethan stood before an old mirror, and instead of his own reflection, he saw Luthor staring back at him. Luthor's face was the same as Ethan's, but his eyes were pitch black, and he wore a terrifying grin. "It's no use resisting anymore, Ethan," Luthor said, his voice deep and echoing. "I am you, and you are me. There is nowhere to run." Ethan tried to resist Luthor in his mind, but Luthor manipulated Ethan's memories, weakening him even further. He unearthed Ethan's childhood fears, his fear of loss, his sense of loneliness, and magnified them. Ethan was like a child lost in a dark forest, desperately searching for a way out of his own mind. One night, Luthor led Ethan to an abandoned hospital in the woods. Ethan knew this place. He had been treated there as a child, and even then he had been terrified of it. Luthor had dragged him to this horrific place to reopen old wounds and make him suffer. The hospital's walls were damp and moldy. Screams echoed down the corridors, and shadowy figures appeared in the blink of an eye, vanishing just as quickly. Luthor's voice resounded in Ethan's mind. "Do you see, Ethan? Your weakness comes from here. Your fears are the darkness that feeds me." Ethan tried to chase away the shadowy figures with his hands, but they left a cold, bitter feeling that seeped into his soul. Then Luthor whispered a dark secret to him. When Ethan was a child, he had intentionally hurt someone in that hospital, leading to their death. Ethan had blocked out this truth, but now Luthor shattered his mind by reminding him of this horrifying secret. As Ethan faced this truth, he realized that escaping his own dark and evil self was impossible. Luthor had completely taken over. Ethan was no more, only Luthor remained. Just before the last glimmer of hope in Ethan's eyes faded, Luthor's smile, that sinister grin once more, and whispered, "Do you remember what you were thinking when you created me? Now I am your master." As Ethan's mind succumbed entirely to Luthor's control, he was swallowed by the shadows. From that night on, the screams coming from the abandoned house were louder. Ethan was no longer there. Only Luthor remained, a dark and malevolent entity that had forever replaced Ethan.